Hey, Dr. Tom Hanson here, yipsbegone.com. I want to talk in this video about why it makes sense that you have the yips. It makes perfect sense that you have the yips. My contention is that there really, in a big majority of the cases, I can't say all, there's really nothing wrong with your processor. There's nothing wrong with your system. For one, most people can find some context in which they can throw fine. I just hung up with a player who said that he's had trouble playing catch just with his dad. I said, well, what happens if you throw it into like a wall or a net? He said, oh, I'm fine. Totally smooth and fluid. It's like, okay, well, there's nothing physiologically wrong. It's a perceptual thing. It's like, it's perceiving in particular, I think, perceiving the situation as a threat. The reptilian brain is saying, this is dangerous to throw this ball. Something bad could happen. It could be about physical pain of I might hurt my arm, or or there's some sociological thing, like you're like, I'm going to get kicked out of the tribe. I'm going to be so embarrassed that I'll get kicked out, and then I'll be left to die by myself. You don't think that rationally. Your cortex isn't thinking that, but the level of perception of what it's happening, there's something happening there. It's like, boom, perceiving a threat, and since you're functioning fine in other areas of your life, you're not like seeing bees all over, and your life isn't down the tubes. You might be thinking a lot about this and feeling bad, but you can function, you can interact with other people. So there isn't anything wrong with the machine. It's like if I've got worked with a fair number of traders, like on Wall Street, that kind of trading, where they might have a computer doing trading for them and looking for certain things. And if they're losing money, is it the computer is wrong, or is it more likely the data that they're using, the model that they've told the computer to use, that's the problem? And that's more likely. Now, it can be a computer problem for sure, but I think it's mostly, that the model that they're using either doesn't or doesn't work anymore, if it ever did work. And it's the same with you. It's the data that's being used by your inner lizard that's seeing it in a certain way. And in particular, it's protecting you from something. This response, having the yips, makes more sense than, is really, it's like safer. It's a protective move because there's protecting something else. There's something deeper. There's some deeper reason why you have this. Now, this reason might not make rational sense, but when in the light of day of your cortex, but at the unconscious level, we got to protect this. So a physical example is my back. Say my back goes out. Well, what happens is the muscles around the spine tighten up, right? Oh, my muscle, you get a massage in those muscles. And what your body is just extraordinary in so doing is it's protecting something that is off in the spine itself. Something is off in the spine, the body recognizes it, boom, I'm going to go ramrod with these muscles so that you don't screw up the spine by moving it. It's like a cast. So it's protecting something. And I believe that the yips it's like you are protecting yourself, you're protecting something. We got to find out what it is and then shift the perception so that you don't go into spasm to protect it. It's like, do you think I want my back? This happened for the first time like 2 months ago. It had been like 15 years or so. It's like, oh man, my back. It's protecting something. Something is off, Something is, my lower back. Well, what's the problem? For me, usually it's I'm putting on a few pounds on my belly. If I lose my core, boom, then it puts my back in a bad position and the muscles tighten up to protect it. And so what was actually, it's like my back. Well, yes, but what has to get fixed is my abs, and my flabs. So it's like that, I think, with the yips, that it's like, this is a symptom that is protecting you from something else. There's something else. Some people will call it in my field a secondary gain. Not that many people talk about it in my field, actually, but they did. A secondary gain, but it's not, that to me is the primary. There is a mothership there of something that you're protecting, and it's a perception. It's almost for sure a misperception that has created this set of circumstances that I just described, and that's why it's like, oh man, there's what's called an emotional coherence, meaning that it makes perfect sense that the body would do that if If X, then Y makes sense. But without X, then Y doesn't make sense. And why would X be there? How do we know it's there? Because you're yipping. Because there's this tension, your body's not stupid. There is something. There's some good reason for it. you know, there's some good reason for it. And um, so there. I mean, we'll just replete all kinds of examples come up of like, will you say something like the story of a guy on the subway who's all, not paying attention to his kids being rowdy, and this person is upset with him that he doesn't control his kids. Hey, will you control your kids, please? And he said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just coming from their mom's funeral, and I'm just kind of elsewhere. It's like, oh, all of a sudden that behavior makes perfect sense, right? He's just coming from their funeral, and they're acting out, and so that made perfect sense. But on the surface, what you saw was a guy letting his kids go crazy. So there's that secondary thing. You got to find it and then undo it. So that's the work. That's, here endeth the easy part. But check out yipsbegone.com. Contact me if you'd like help with your yips.